Welcome. You've got Counterculture
with
Lujan.
He hails from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
You are listening to
Counterculture
with
Aaron Lujan.
This be called the Lujan virus.
We face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
Protecting your kids from the indoctrination of the media.
I call on every man and woman of goodwill all over America today to come back home. Come home, America.
Welcome. Today is September 17th, 2020. It's a Thursday, and we are going to cover the top news stories for today. The stories that go usually uncovered, spinned, omitted to fit a particular narrative by the corporate mainstream media. My top news stories for the day is God Complex. Joe Biden promises fewer fires, floods, and hurricanes if he wins in November. This is being reported by PJ Media, and I'll quote the former vice president. If you give a climate arsonist 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised if we have more of America ablaze? If you give a climate denier 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised when more of America is underwater? Yes. Also, never mind the fact that the claims of climate change consensus are misleading and overblown, or the facts that climate alarmist predictions have proven wrong time and time again for 50 years. So if you follow these people, fossil fuels contributes to fires, and it's actually not true. The article was written by someone very familiar with how these fires take place and how you can prevent forest fires. And I kind of sounded like Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires. Traditionally in the past, you would clear the forest floor and the fire crews would start controlled fires. And because of climate activists in Washington and Oregon and California, they are opposed to this and have not allowed like, for example, Cal Fire to get their necessary resources to be able to clear the floors and prevent these types of fires from taking place. So it's actually the opposite. The policies of the climate alarmists have contributed to these fires. And as we're starting to learn, unfortunately, it's being censored by Facebook, that these fires are being started by left-wing BLM activists and Marxists. Second Amendment Daily's reporting armed Oregon woman finds arsonist on her property, holds him at gunpoint until police arrive. Democrats and fake news media still blaming climate change. Yes, Kat Cast of Oregon held a suspected arsonist at gunpoint on Saturday when she was driving into her driveway and saw the man with matches in his hand walking onto her property. Yes, arsonists with matches in their hands on videos. It's getting removed from Facebook. They have called for a disruption of society. Forest fires and natural disasters is a great way to do it. If you are listening to the mainstream media or the Joker Gavin Newsom, you would think that it's because you're not using reusable bags at Trader Joe's. What a joke. Gateway pundit, Biden departs plane in Tampa, waves at empty field. It's a great video, you guys. He's coming down the steps of his plane with a mask on, completely empty field, and he waves. And by the way, hashtag Ghetto Podcast, if you hear small children in the background, those are my daughters, well fed with a lot of morning energy. It's good times in the Lujan household. Gateway pundit, since we're on the political bent of the podcast, fake news CBS caught using photo from Latinos for Trump event in Phoenix and tagged it as Biden's Florida event. So apparently in Kissimmee, Florida, the former vice president was scheduled to pander to Hispanics, and it's actually very cringeworthy. If you want some good entertainment, YouTube, Kissimmee, Florida, Joe Biden, Despacito, Luis Fonsi, the artist behind that cheesy ass song Despacito, which is Spanish for slowly, which I think is ironic because Trump's been calling him Slow Joe. You can't make this stuff up. He literally comes out, if you're not going to watch the video, it's, by the way, it's for mature audiences only. He says, I got one thing to say. And he takes out his phone and he literally plays the song. And he's just kind of nodding his head and showing all of us Hispanics he really understands us because he's listening to Despacito. Oh yeah. Hashtag cringeworthy pandering. Now, what's even funnier about this is the fact that F the Police was superimposed on that video for the Twitter sphere and for the internet, because the internet is glorious. And what also makes it interesting is no one was actually there. If you were to look at the crowd, you're never going to see this on mainstream media. There's actually like nobody there. So you have this like top selling artist, Luis Fonsi, and you have a former vice president in a major presidential election with no one there. Nobody cares about Joe Biden. No one cares about his presidency. The people who are going to be voting for him are people who have been programmed to hate Orange Man. And you could literally run a hamster against Donald Trump, and you'll get half the country to vote for the hamster, in my humble opinion. Hashtag Black Coffee Break. Breitbart, speaking of the Biden ticket, Kammala paints picture of a Harris administration with Joe Biden for Latino voters, told a group of Latino small business owners from Arizona on Saturday, and I'll quote Kamala Harris, the Indian, Jamaican, whatever the heck she is, the one who slept up to the top. A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. The Biden-Harris administration will provide access to $100 billion in low-interest loans and investments for minority-owned business owners. Biden also did it too recently. Biden himself. So they both made the mistake of saying a Harris-Biden administration. You guys, once is an accident, twice is a pattern. To quote George W. Bush, fool me once and you're a... Jill, where's... No, that was George W. Bush. Sorry, I was going to say, Jill, where's my meds? By the way, I'm going to patent that. I haven't heard anybody say that before. Jill, where's my meds? If anybody's listening, turn that into a t-shirt. Preparing their base for the switch. A backroom deal was done, in my opinion. Hillary Clinton and the Clintons have the Democratic Party in debt to them. They control it. The ones who cry democracy are the ones making backroom deals on who to put into power. And I'm of the humble opinion that we are going to just have Weekend at Joe Bernie's, propped around, flopping around as this dementia patient is able to make it through to November 3rd. And then if they were to win, you will have Kamala Harris, the former district attorney of California, ruling over your families. Yes, it's going to be good times. Get out there and vote for Trump. Daily Mail, Kamala Harris seen in Miami. And I'm going to crush Kamala in these next couple articles because someone's got to do it. The Daily Mail, Kamala Harris seen in Miami, protected by agent carrying assault rifle she vows to ban. So she visited Florida Memorial University last Thursday in Miami and was protected by an assault rifle wielding Secret Service agent. She promised to ban assault weapons within the first 100 days of her term. If Congress fails to enact reasonable gun safety laws, she would take executive action to do so. Yeah, what a hypocrite. What a hypocrite. Harris supported defunding the police and reallocating those funds. So she's all for disarming you so long as she gets to be protected by those scary assault weapons that don't belong on the streets. And also, Daily Callers promoting bail fund promoted by Kamala Harris helped man accused of sexually penetrating a child. Bail fund promoted by Democratic VP nominee Kamala Harris helped a man accused of sexually assaulting an 8-year-old girl get out of jail in July, court records show. The same bail fund that Kamala Harris promotes, Minnesota Freedom Fund, also helped post bail for a man accused of assaulting an elderly woman as he burglarized her home, court records obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation reveal. And the fund also helped bail out a man who allegedly robbed and stomped on a victim's head in Minneapolis on the same day of a George Floyd's police custody death, records show. So the same Kamala Harris who's been promoting this fund urged her followers to contribute to the fund in a June 1st tweet, which linked to a fundraising page that contains her picture. Harris's fundraising page continues to actively accept donations for the fund. You guys, These are people who promote lawlessness. These are hypocritical elitists, if you aren't paying attention to the facts, who want to rule over you and have a separate set of rules for the criminals, which is essentially no rules, and hardcore rules for those law-abiding citizens. Michelle Malkin calls it anarcho-tyranny. And if you want to look that up, it's I think the system that America has been merged into. But people are fighting back. IJR.org is reporting that Catholic group launches $9.7 million campaign to expose Biden's anti-Catholic record and policy agenda. Catholic vote. And by the way, I love my Catholic brothers and sisters. You guys seem to be more politically involved than any of the groups that I see out there with regards to those of the church. Catholic Vote, a national-based advocacy organization, is targeting Catholic voters in swing states in its $9.7 million campaign against Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. They reach more than 5 million Catholics in crucial swing states. The campaign includes digital advertising, parish-by-parish canvassing, direct mail features, and TV initiatives in these 6 states. They are pushing this idea that, quote, the sanctity of life, religious liberty, judges, education, the dignity of work, and other core issues. Quote, Joe Biden would force American Catholics to pay for abortions, sacrificing his Catholic values to kneel before the leftist mob. Thank you, Catholic Vote. Shout out to all my Catholics out there. En el nombre del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo. Amén, Jesús. Western Journal. Over 200 million military officers endorsed Trump. Warned Biden would usher in socialist ideology. More than 200 former military officers backed President DJT. One of the girls I follow on Instagram calls him T-Money. In a letter warning that the 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden would usher in socialist and Marxist influences on American government. Quote, with the Democratic Party welcoming to socialists and Marxists, our historic way of life is at stake, writes the military officers. Quote, we believe that President Donald Trump is committed to a strong America. As president, he will continue to secure our borders, defeat our adversaries, and restore law and order domestically. Black coffee break. Sorry, guys, I realize that's getting annoying. I'll cut it out. One Medal of Honor recipient, retired Marine Major General Jim Livingston, is one of the signers. 8 4-star generals or admirals and 42 3-star generals or admirals. Hashtag gangster. Trump is your president if you like it or not. There's a Bryson Creates. This guy's got some rap songs about Trump. Look it up. It's good stuff. I'm a gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Sorry, guys. I'm a little black coffeeed out this morning. Got to stay focused. Free Beacon. Harris to predatory subprime mortgage empire to spend $200 million for Democrats. Preyed on minorities on its way to earning billions of dollars was this banking group. Susan Sandler, the daughter of billionaire banking giants Herb and Marion Sandler, the ones who took advantage of people who couldn't afford home loans, the subprime mortgage loans, the ones that crashed our economy in 2008. Well, she took all that money by destroying the economy and plans to use it to double down and destroy America even further, and has decided to invest $200 million greenbacks in, quote, racial justice groups as part of an effort to build a liberal infrastructure in states, quote, undergoing rapid demographic change, such as Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Well, WikiLeaks shows that part of that money was used to defend her parents and her family from their predatory lending crimes. And they are using their booty to destroy America even further. First time through the economy, this time through the political systems. Thank you, Sandler family. So if you happen to know why the Democrats and the American-hating Marxists are so powerful, all you need to do is look to their billionaire financiers. Because if you look at Joe Biden's actual events, there is no organic support. Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me put some boom in it. Breitbart has an article out. 1,600 uncounted New Jersey primary ballots discovered in a mislabeled bin. Oh, yes. Over 600 primary ballots hailing from Sussex County in New Jersey were discovered in a bin titled mislabeled last week and subsequently added to the final tally of the state's July 7th primary results, according to Board of Elections Administrator Marge McCabe. The Herald added that the mistake, quote, was perhaps the result of a unique election process caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, with a majority of county residents voting by mail, and the Board of Elections temporarily relocating to count the votes. Hashtag voter fraud. I report this stuff because I'm expecting massive voter fraud. We're already witnessing it, and it's being chronicled right here on Counterculture. Text your friends if you guys think this podcast is fire. I mean it. Text your friends. Hashtag text your friends. Save a life. Stay at home. Put on a damn mask. Just kidding. Breitbart, Democrat Michigan Secretary of State misprints Trump ticket on ballots for troops. Oh yes, since no one has ever heard of Trump and Pence before, the Michigan Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, you know, the one who endorsed Biden and spoke at the Democratic National Convention, she forgot that Trump's running mate was Pence, and hashtag my bad, put Jeremy Cohen, who was actually the Libertarian candidate, as Trump's running mate. It was meant to be mailed or emailed to Michigan residents living abroad under the Military and Overseas Empowerment Act. Hashtag my bad. No, it's not my bad. It's Miss Benson, you have severe Trump derangement syndrome, and you're using your power that was given to you by the people. You are bound by an oath to the Constitution of Michigan, and you are failing us. Citizen Free Press, Democrats pelt little girl with eggs at pro-Trump rally. During a rally for Republican Senate candidate Lauren Witzke on Sunday, Marxist agitators threw eggs at the group and hit 2 children. There are no limits with this group. So let's go ahead and shift gears. This is Trump getting it done, Bible prophecy coming true section, CBN News. This should have been my lead story, but I thought it would be funny to start with Sleepy Joe. But what should have been my lead story, this is prophetic. As Israel and Arab states sign historic treaty, Trump predicts more will join. So while we have Weekend at Bernie's over at the Biden camp, we literally have a president setting and making history. Peace in the Middle East. Bible prophecy coming true. United Arab Emirates and Bahrain sign a groundbreaking peace treaty with Israel. President Trump brokered the deal, and he predicts more Arab countries will soon join the circle of peace. Trump is quoted as saying, "Peace in the Middle East without blood on the sand." Known as the Abraham Accord, establishes full diplomatic ties between the key allies of the United States. The UAE became the first Gulf state and the third Arab nation to agree to diplomatic ties with Israel. And you have Rosenberg, who I believe is the editor-in-chief of one of the news organizations covering the story. I will quote him. "What we watch in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39, which is known as the eschatological future war of Gog and Magog, is the Arab states being very calm and quiet towards Israel. Israel is reconstructed, peaceful, prosperous, calm, secure, and then a Russian, Iranian, Turkish alliance forming against Israel. Included in the peace deal is Israel agreeing to stop annexation plans for part of the West Bank." It brings me back to the George W. Bush era when the Democrats and the leftists used to be so pro-Palestine, so anti-Israel, and the crux of their argument was that evil Israel was annexing lands that didn't belong to them on the West Bank. And now you have Trump literally handing what the leftists were demanding on the streets for, but Trump's still bad. Yes. That is the cognitive dissonance, the Trump derangement syndrome in full display for you. And speaking of Bible prophecy, NBC News is reporting birds dropping dead in New Mexico, hundreds of thousands. New Mexico residents have reported coming upon dead birds on hiking trails, missile ranges, and in other locations. What I think is interesting is that this is prophesied or spoken of throughout the Bible. And I'm going to read quickly 2 verses, and I should have had them queued, but again, it's hashtag Ghetto Podcast. So Hosea chapter 4, verse 1 through 3. Hear the word of the Lord, O people of Israel. The Lord has brought charges against you, saying, there is no faithfulness, no kindness, no knowledge of God in your land. You make vows and break them. You kill and steal and commit adultery. There is violence everywhere, one murder after another. That is why your land is in mourning, and everyone is wasting away. Even the wild animals, the birds of the sky, and the fish of the sea are disappearing. And I do have another verse, Zephaniah chapter 1 through 3. As a Christian, I'm embarrassed to say I need some more biblical knowledge. Zephaniah is a book I'm not even very familiar with, but it's a book in the Bible. Chapter 1, verse 3 says, I will sweep away people and animals alike. I will sweep away the birds of the sky and the fish in the sea. I will reduce the wicked to heaps of rubble, and I will wipe humanity from the face of the earth, says the Lord. Thank you, Lord. We're in minute 22, and I'm not even a third way through this news, you guys. No, I'm actually halfway through. So I'm going to have to speed it up, hit the gas. But we're living in biblical times. You guys go to my Facebook page and see my cover photo. San Francisco looks like it's hell on earth. NPR is reporting military police considered using controversial heat ray. And I'm going to read a little bit from the article because this was very fascinating to me. Hours before federal police officers cleared a crowded park near the White House with smoke and tear gas on June 1st, lead military police officer in the Department of Defense for the D.C. region asked if the D.C. National Guard had a kind of military heat ray that might be deployed against demonstrators in the nation's capital. According to one of the most senior National Guard officers on the scene, in a written response to the House Committee on Natural Resources obtained by NPR, he was looking for two things: a long-range acoustic device, a kind of sound cannon known as an LRAD, and a device called active denial system. So the active denial system, or the ADS system, heats up the skin to the point where you cannot stand it anymore and you just run away in pain. It is non-lethal. There is no serious long-term health consequences. It's a repellent to get people who are breaking the law to disperse from an area where they've been legally and unlegally and unlawfully occupying. I personally am of the opinion, go ahead and use it. I'm all for non-lethal methods, but apparently people would not sign off on this, and I just find this interesting. Perhaps hashtag Insurrection Act, we might see these weapons appear after the election. Fox has an article out. Panel authorizes subpoenas for Obama officials. Oh yes, I like this stuff. Senate Homeland Security Committee on Wednesday voted to authorize subpoenas for former CIA Director John Brennan, former National Intelligence Director James Clapper, the homie FBI Director James Comey, and other Obama administration officials as a part of its broad review into the origins of the Russia investigation. Hashtag Spygate. If we all know, it's been out in the open. Valerie Jarrett and the Obama administration were illegally spying on then citizen President Trump. The Democrats, just like the Coyote and the Roadrunner, every time they try to hurt the Roadrunner, every time they try to hurt Trump, they hurt themselves. It blows up in their face. They were trying to spy on Trump. They were trying to impeach Trump for Russian collusion, and instead they ended up exposing themselves. So now we have the Senate Homeland Security Committee saying, thank you for bringing all this stuff up. We're now going to investigate yo asses. You know what I'm saying? We're going to investigate yo ass. How about that? Cash me outside. How about that? Sorry, I'm like a dad now, so the stuff that used to be funny like 3 years ago, I'm still dad joking about it. Forgive me. CNN, switching to my Law and Order section of the podcast at 25 minutes. More than 6 months after police fatally shoot Breonna Taylor, the city says it will institute police reforms and pay her family $12 million. Louisville, Kentucky has agreed to pay $12 million to the family of Breonna Taylor and institute sweeping police reforms. I bring this up because this is a dangerous trend. Anytime any cop shoots anyone and it is the wrong skin color, taxpayers are going to be on the hook for millions of dollars, you guys. If you really want to take over municipalities and bankrupt them from the inside, why not do it through the quote-unquote justice system? It's been done to innocent people in the quote-unquote justice system for decades. If you want to hurt somebody, you just go after them legally. You get a bunch of attorneys. Well, now it looks like they're using this strategy to destroy American cities, to destroy the United States from within. This is what I would call domestic terrorism, when you weaponize justice systems and file these types of lawsuits. Very dangerous trend. Daily Caller's got an article out, speaking of municipalities and law and order. Minneapolis City Council complains about crime spike months after voting to abolish the police. City Council members asked the Minneapolis police chief during a business meeting Tuesday how to grapple with an uptick in carjackings, robberies, and even street racings. One of the lone voices in the Minneapolis City Council, Cunningham, said, quote, "What I am sort of flabbergasted by is colleagues who a very short time ago who were calling for abolition are now suggesting that we should be putting more funding and resources into the Minneapolis Police Department." Hashtag Twilight Zone. If you guys remember, was it like a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, Minneapolis City Council says, they got on their political liberal soapbox and said, we need to disband and defund the police departments. And then, of course, obviously crime's up, and now they want to do the moonwalk, backtrack. What a joke, guys. I mean, of course, this stuff is not sustainable, which is why you're going to see other tactics like just destroying the financial base of a city by suing them. Citizen Free Press. Tulsa body cam video released. 2 officers shot, 1 dead. More cops getting killed. Daily Signal has an article out. No police, no peace. Billboards to reach 4 million in New York, Atlanta, and Dallas. 2 each in New York City, Dallas, and Atlanta. Heritage Action for America announced on Monday. Heritage Action is what I would call a patriot constitutional group in the United States. They do great work. They're doing a marketing campaign. I wish they would have called me to give me their money. I would have gladly have cashed those checks and helped them launch these campaigns. They have these wonderful billboards, digital billboards of a black police officer and with blue coloring saying no police, no peace, with the text short code. Great strategy, guys. And they're fighting the cultural trend of this anti-police, anti-law and order theme that we have running in this Marxist color revolution we're experiencing in the United States. Among some of the signers of this petition that the campaign is promoting is UN former Ambassador Nikki Haley, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, nearly 100 members of Congress, including House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of California, Senator Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley of Montana, I believe, Rick Scott of Florida, and Tom Cotton of Arkansas. The Federalist Papers has an article out. High school football players suspended for carrying flags supporting police and firefighters before the game. WKRC TV reported that 2 players on the Little Miami high school football team in Southwest Ohio community of Morrow, Ohio, were warned Friday not to carry flags on the field honoring American heroes on September 11th. The school said, "We didn't want them to do that because it might put someone in the position of feeling offended." Liberal snowflakes. No, I don't want to see flags in 9/11 and masculinity. I'm scared. Switching gears to what I would call the rewriting history part of the podcast, at 30 minutes on the dot, I'm going to go a little over. The Guardian has an article out. Nearly 2/3 of U.S. young adults unaware that 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust. Obviously, the article is assuming that the Holocaust did kill 6 million Jews. I realize this is an incredibly controversial subject because we've all been programmed by the Anti-Defamation League and the other Jew group, I can't remember what it's called, to make Jews the victims because Zionist Jews control most of the New World Order. So I am of the opinion that there isn't any strong historical facts, or there's no strong historical basis for the claims that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. That would label me a hashtag Holocaust denier. No, it doesn't mean that I hate Jews. No, it doesn't mean that I'm a Adolf Hitler fan. What it means is that I'm a fan of history. I'm a fan of facts. And I look beyond what my social studies and history professors in college told me what to believe. I've done my own history since I was indoctrinated in the university system, and I've learned that the claims of the Holocaust don't meet the mustard. So the article explains that according to the study of millennial and Gen Z adults between 18 and 19, almost half, 48%, could not name a single concentration camp or ghetto established during the Second World War. Almost a quarter of respondents, 23%, said they believed the Holocaust was a myth or had been exaggerated. I have my hand up on that one. Or they weren't sure. 1 in 8, 12%, said they had definitely not heard of or didn't think they had heard even about the Holocaust. So in my opinion, this is hope. I realized The Guardian was doing a hit piece. I find this to be hopeful because 49% had seen Holocaust denial or distortion posts on social media or elsewhere online. Maybe on Counterculture. Yeah, you guys, this is good stuff because I don't believe it's true. Fox is reporting Sacred Heart of Jesus statue in Texas Cathedral destroyed. A 90-year-old statue was destroyed during vandalism inside an El Paso church. And I don't think that statues are really that important. As a former Catholic, I realize Catholics put a lot of importance into statues. I'm of the belief that it's a personal relationship with God in the form of Jesus Christ. So whether or not you destroy a statue is irrelevant. However, what it does show you is the cultural tide, and what it does show you is the spirit of this age. That there is a anger, there is an animosity towards Jesus and the church, which is why you have people going into churches and destroying statues. So just call it a warning shot, church. The Daily Signal, the BLM co-founder and pro-communist China group are partnering up, and here's why. So if you go to the website for Black Futures Lab, a venture of Black Lives Matter founder Alicia Garza, and click on the donate button, it will ask you to send your money to an obscure organization, the Chinese Progressive Association, explaining that Black Futures Lab is a fiscally sponsored project of the Chinese Progressive Association. Quote, it's not possible, I'm going to quote Alicia Garza, it's not possible for a world to emerge where Black Lives Matter if it's under capitalism, and it's not possible to abolish capitalism without a struggle against national oppression. So yes, you do have a partnership forming between BLM and pro-communist China because BLM is an admitted Marxist group, and I just quoted Alicia Garza. They have a lot in common. These are bedfellows, and now it's just out in the open. If you go to Black Futures Lab website, and you will see with your own eyes, they're completely tied to the Chinese Progressive Association. Don't have time to explain all of the sins of the Chinese Progressive Association, but just know that we are in the middle of a communist revolution. And to round us out with some good news, fighting back, Citizen Free Press is reporting conservative flash mob, dozens of anti-maskers invade Florida Target, take off your damn mask now. Go to Citizen Free Press, watch the videos. There's just dozens of people rolling in a Target like it's 5 a.m. on the Friday after Thanksgiving, but they're not there to shop. They're there to promote America and freedom. It's a beautiful thing to witness. I actually had this idea, and I just don't have time to do it. So fortunately, there's other like-minded people, like-minded patriots out there that are doing this. And while the Americans are telling you to take off your masks in Target, we have the Irish also being reported in the Citizen Free Press. Dublin Raw, thousands of Irish patriots march against COVID lockdowns. One of the Irish patriots is quoted as saying, "I'm here today to tell these bastards that we've had enough. Open the pubs. Open Ireland." Irish Spring, maybe? I sure hope so. So the world is waking up. We're exactly at 35 minutes and 30 seconds. This was episode 61. This was the top news for September 17th, 2020. Biden's God complex, Trump brokers peace, and Kammala exposed. The podcast is on all your major podcast players. Everything is housed at aaronlujan.com. Very soon I'm going to be inviting some guests, so stay tuned. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys. Peace.